Hello, Ten-Acious Baseball League fans. This is Earl. And if I have time on nights when I do an offline game, I will try to provide a short synopsis video on the game that I played offline. And maybe I'll live stream it some nights, but really I don't want to, because usually if I live stream it gets a little long and I just want a quick upload for you guys, so we'll just keep it to this. So as he would if I was laying down some smack on Tabletop Baseball's channel the other night about Kyle Kendrick to a fan of the Rockies, which is the account, the RNGIDP account. So I was making fun of Kyle Kendrick, that maybe that guy who's a Rockies fan should be him for the 66er team. So, well, in any event, Kyle Kendrick came out here and pitched 8 solid innings. He did give up 8 hits, but to the Cardinals, but he only gave up 1 run, and he was the victor here. The Rockies take the second of the 3-game series, 9-2. Surprisingly, no home runs at Coors in this one. A few, at least a triple or two, but nothing that was out of the park. So let's just do a quick recap. Everything was pretty quiet until, of course, we led off the first here with Hayward with a single, and I tried to send him, and he got caught stealing. That almost set the tone for the whole game. So really, it was uneventful until the third. With 1 out, Brandon Barnes got on with a single. Then Rafael Inoa singled him around. That was actually a hit-and-run play. Got him to third. And Charlie Blackmon was able to get a ground ball C and get him home. So on just a regular old roll. So that got the first run home for the Rockies. Then move ahead to the 4th inning. And 3 straight singles brought home, actually it loaded the bases, and after Carlos Gonzalez struck out, so Jaime Garcia, the lefty, was pitching for the Cardinals. Let's just give you that. So Gonzalez struggles against lefties, at least on his card, and he took a strikeout with the bases loaded to make 1 out. And I thought, well, maybe this is going to go by the wayside. Well, Kyle Parker, playing first base for Morneau, who had the night off, singled home Hundley and Arenado to make it 3-0. Then after another strikeout by Barnes, it came back up and singled again. That drove in Rosario and moved Parker up to second. So first and second with still 2 outs. Then Charlie Blackmon came up and got a single, and that drove in Parker and moved to third. And then after that, a triple by DJ LeMahieu drove home Blackmon, which that made it a 7-1 game with LeMahieu at third in 2 outs. Took Garcia out. So Garcia, he was actually leading the TBL in ERA, and I think that's going to go away. So in any event, Hundley then follows that up with a triple of his own off the pitcher's card, knocks in LeMahieu, and then finally that long 4th inning was over after Arenado ground out second. But that was 7 runs to the plate in the 4th, and that really set the Rockies on their way. In the top of the 5th, the Cardinals did catch a run back on a double by Reynolds. Then after 2 outs, another double by Hayward brought home Reynolds to make it 8-1. Then fast forward ahead to the 7th. Here you get this is as Villanueva has pitched into his, who's going into his 3rd inning of work. After a ground out by Hundley, Arenado doubled, and then Rosario singled, which drove home the 3rd baseman, and that made it 9-1. And then they brought in Broxton, who closed out the game with an inning and 2/3 pitched. But in the 9th, Rockies brought out Kendrick and brought in Christian Friedrich, the lefty, to try to face a couple lefties here, Moss and Wong. He walked, then a fielder's choice left Wong at first base, then followed by Reynolds, the righty, who doubled him home. There was a D20 roll to bring him home, and then a couple more outs. Finally, Molina struck out as a pinch hitter for Cruz. Actually, this is the first game in a while Molina has not played in, but he did get a pinch hit appearance. So, all in all, the Rockies have won the season series. They've assured that. They lead 4-1, and seems like the Rockies are a potential problem for a team like the Cardinals if they somehow sneak into the playoffs and have to play them. So we'll see. But the Cardinals don't seem to fare too well against the Rockies' power. Well, not power, but just hitting prowess, especially at Coors. So again, Kendrick the winner, Garcia the loser, and no save. So no homers. The totals: Colorado 9 runs on 14 hits. They left 5 on base, no errors. No errors for the Cardinals and 2 runs on 9 hits. So they did get some base hits there, but they stranded 7 in this. So that is it for this evening. We had the 2 games earlier. Check us out, not only on Facebook and Twitter, but at our website, tenaciouStrat.wordpress.com. Keep checking out if you are new to the channel and new to Strat Baseball using cards and dice. We have 3 or 4 or 5 channels that are to an extent collaborating, but typically we do our own leagues and series, but we do collaborate. We end up we have a community here. We comment, we support each other, and just keep going at it. Keep stratting around here and playing games. My league here is over 200 games in, and we got to go to 270 before we get to the playoffs. So that's where it's at. Tuesday night we have a battle of the Earls, and we're going to be going super advanced in that with the 2015 ALDS between Toronto and Texas. I will be representing Toronto as the manager, while Tabletop Baseball, that's one of the other accounts that I was telling you about, they will be representing the Rangers. So check that out. Again, 8:30 Eastern on Tuesday night. That'll be February 7th, I believe. Other channels to check out: Baseball Demos, Fan-O-Matic, and Espo Strat Baseball Network, ESPN. Check them out. Those guys are all real good, and there may be a couple others that are coming online here sooner rather than later, but just keep an eye out. We'll keep you posted on anything that comes up. Also want to give another shout out to the Ultimate Strat Baseball Network. There's an interview with myself in their newsletter, trying to talk about this community more and some of my history as a player, which isn't particularly long, not particularly deep, but I am very enthusiastic about this process and this game, and just plus the other thing that they not only have their newsletter, which they publish free every month. They'll send it to your email. They'll give you a link to go to it. For $9.99, I believe, is the price. They have a draft guide if you're into strat drafts, like draft leagues and such. They have a guide that covers every new player in the 2016 set, which will be releasing very soon. It should be well worth your cost if you're into that, and it might even be worth your cost if you're, a replay guy like me, and just you're going to have some new players. So, there'll be some new players in the set, some prospects, some short season guys that came up in September call-ups, depth guys that maybe you just don't know much about because you don't get to see anything much other than your team. So if that's the case, this guide is probably for you. Also, as I just mentioned slightly, Stratomatic.com. Check them out. They're pre-ordering for the 2016 set. So it'll be all the regular season numbers from that. Get the additional players. I would recommend that highly. If you're playing a replay, which a replay means like my next project, I'm still kind of leaning towards a Phillies 2008 replay, which would be playing their games nearly exactly the way that they set them up and everything. Same lineups, same opponents, same schedule, all that good stuff. And, if you're doing that, you really want to have those extra players so you aren't trying to like cobble together lineups and things like that with players that are sort of like, they've got sort of the same statistics. I mean, it probably works out okay, but it's always great to be able to have those cards right in front of you that have the names and that you're assured that Strat has put the time and effort into carding them out right and putting the right numbers in there. So anyway, I guess those are some of the endorsements I'll put out there tonight. Just keep stratting on, guys. If you are new to this, as I said, there's nothing. I mean, it can be complicated starting. Just take it easy. Start with basic. Don't get intimidated when you see on this channel the advanced games, and eventually you'll see the super advanced games. Yes, those are very. They can be very intricate. They can be very detailed. That's. I think that's really cool, and I think eventually, if you are a fan of this type of game, you will probably find it cool too. But it can be intimidating, and it's good just to start with basic. Start with you don't have the left and right. You don't have all of the extra add-in things like the catch your arm and all of this kind of stuff. It's made to try and help somebody ease in. And then once you get used to this process, then you can start bringing in the advanced rules, start learning some of the things like with the stealing and holding the runner on and the advancement and all the other stuff that kind of goes into advanced. And then eventually you get super advanced, which factors in ballparks and all that stuff. So just, as I said, take it easy. Don't get intimidated by this. I would go out and get a set. Heck, even if it's your first set, if all you have, if you don't really have much money to go and buy, buy much, if you don't think that because a set with the additional players is going to be probably after shipping 80 or so bucks. If you don't have that, just go ahead and get the regular set without the additional players. It'll bring it down below 70 probably with shipping. And you can get the feel for it, and you can pick up the additional players later if you really find this is your thing. And you really want them, all you have to do is just tack it into an order that if you want to do another season, because there's lots of seasons out there you can do. So just go slow. Don't worry about it. Don't get intimidated. Don't feel like you gotta. And I mean, I'm sort of like whole hog. I'm still relatively new at this. I kind of go whole hog into things, so it doesn't intimidate me as much. But I can just tell you that I'm sure that there are people out there that would find it. And that's why I chose the project I did. Granted, it's still a lot of games, but it's a manageable amount of games. So, okay. All of that said, have a good night, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. There's 2 games that are going to be scheduled for tomorrow. Only one will be broadcast. It'll be Minnesota and Chicago. This is a 3 versus 4 game. So that should be good. Like I said, 3 versus 4. So these guys are itching to get in the playoffs. Minnesota's in 4th. If they stumble here against the Cubs, it could really bring the teams like Colorado and maybe I'm thinking the Rangers or White Sox, one of these other teams back in. So strat on, guys. Have a good night. And the Colorado Rockies win this game 9-2, winning the pitcher Powell.